Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Changer Radio. I'm your host, Dave Dickey, and today is Tuesday, December 10th, 2013. This is the last show of the year for us. We're taking a vacation, a well-deserved break here, and we're going to make it kind of a special one. You hear a different intro this time with the Christmas music and all that. And I thought Jingle Bells would be appropriate. Tonight, I should say, it's 6 o'clock right now. What I want to talk about is some of the old school programming and changes for the new year that you should be making out there in order to live a happier and a better life for yourself. And keep in mind that no matter what I tell you, no matter what anyone tells you, no matter how many books you read, how much money you spend on workshops or anything like that, none of it really matters if two things aren't in play. Number one, you have to be happy. Okay? That's the first thing. And number two, if you're, maybe there's three things here. Number two would be, if you are unable to actually believe that you can change your life and that you're not a victim to the external like all of us have been programmed to be. And then I guess number three would be, are you committed enough to change your life by taking the appropriate action? Because it's not just a matter of believing you can do it, you actually have to do it. And when I say committed, I mean that you need to understand, a lot of people that I've talked to, they say, well, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. I really want to do it. I really try to do it. I try to make time, but I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy. And what I tell these people, and what I'm telling you tonight, is that if you never do it, you're never not going to be busy. If you, in a sense, suck it up and commit to yourself and commit to the life that you want for yourself and your family, and say, today is the day that I'm going to set aside 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes. You spend more than that watching commercials during a TV show. 10 minutes a day, meditating, visualizing, manifesting, wherever that 10 minutes looks for you in order to live a happier life and live life on your terms. By doing the techniques as often as you can, and I would strongly suggest that you do them a minimum of 3 times a week, you will inevitably find more time is available for you. Because I know that one of the things that everyone wants is to not to have to work so hard, and to not to have so much on their plate, and to not to have to do so much for so little and not be appreciated. What I am telling you is that will always happen if you do not start to commit to yourself and stop making the excuses that you don't have time. Because as soon as you start achieving success with this, you will have more and more time. That's the whole goal of all this, is to give you the freedom and the luxury and the time to live life on your terms. So, all of you out there that are listening or have listened, gone to my workshops, my classes, my meetups, whatever, stop saying, if you have been, stop saying, I just don't have time, or I'm having a hard time finding time. No, it's another excuse. It's another excuse because the noise factor from the external is keeping you down to that bottom vibration rate. And that's not where you want to be. That's not where you're going to have success. So stop it with the excuses of not enough time, because when you start doing it, like I said, when you start doing it, you're going to have more time. It's just going to happen because you're not going to have to deal with the crap in your life, so there's more time right there. And the other stuff is going to get easier for you, and that's going to create even more time. So then you're going to have all this time on your hands, and you're not going to know what to do with it. When I tell you right now, when that happens, there's only one thing you can do with that, and that is to ensure that later on you have even more time on your hands by doing more of the techniques and more of the exercises. The more and more that you do these, the better you become at it, and the stronger you become at it. And visualization is the number one. You need to hone your visualization skills to the utmost, because when you close your eyes and you get that picture in your head, you want to make sure that you can go 3D with this thing in living color, technicolor as it were, with sight and sound and feeling and emotion. So do yourself a favor, and even if your 10 minutes or 5 minutes a day is all you have, practice your visualization. Take a pen or a coffee cup or something that you know, something around the house. Doesn't have to be anything special. Something around the house. And take a good look at it, get the image firmly implanted in your head, and then close your eyes and recreate that image in your head. And if it's, say for instance, it's a water bottle with a label. I'm looking at one right now. Read it. Read the words. See what colors the words are. And then close your eyes and visualize that water bottle and all of its intricacies. The little recycling label, the little text here, the warning here, the logo here, whatever it is. Do that on a regular basis and do it on different stuff, because your visualization is key. If you want to have everything work, you have to have proper visualization and good visualization techniques. The next thing that you should be practicing is smiling. You should be practicing smiling. And keep it in your head that you just need to smile when you talk. Do you know that researchers have found that when you're talking to someone on the phone, they can hear your smile if you're smiling, or they can hear your frown if you're not happy? All right, so all you salespeople, I mean, really, we're all salespeople. We're all selling ourselves every day. Keep smiling while you're on the phone. Smile on the phone. And be conscious of it. Be aware of it. Tell yourself, I need to smile more. Because what happens is it triggers a chemical response in your brain, and you become a little bit happier. Even when you do the happiness meditation that I've talked to you guys about before, smiling makes you happier. Okay? So you need to smile as much as possible. And look in the mirror and smile at yourself. Be nice to yourself. Love yourself. Remember how wonderful a person you are. Because you are. You're a wonderful spiritual being that's here for a reason. And there's absolutely no excuse for you not to have the best possible life. And one of the ways to avoid the best possible life is to get sucked into all of the old school programming. And we're going to go down that rabbit hole today. Some of it is going to be reminiscent of things you've heard, some of it may not. But I'm going to touch on some sayings tonight and their lack of meaning in light of the new age and stuff that's going on, and especially the shift that's happening now, where people are turning into more giving, more spiritual, happier human beings, because that's exactly where we need to go. And the world will change. Trust me, the world will change. There's more of us than there is of them. Don't get Don't get down in the dumps like they want you to, because that keeps you in the old school programming. So here's one. Here's some sayings that you really need to think about, first off, and then dismiss them out of your life. Okay? We'll start with this. Well, you know how it goes with the job I have. You know, my back's hurting, but I guess that's just what happens at my age. You know, I need to think about retirement because I want to make sure I still have a few good years left before I kick the bucket. A few good years left. You know, not everybody can be happy. That's just the way it is. Well, that's what happens every time I do this. So I accept it. You know, folks, one of the things that you should never accept is anything that anyone's ever said, I accept. You should question everything and never accept anything unless it's something that you have created and that you know you've created and it's something that pleases you. All of the old school ways create insurance issues, they create ARP, they create senior citizen discounts, and it's all to keep reinforcing the concept that things happen a certain way at a certain time in your life, and there's nothing you can do about it except attempt to keep it at bay as best you can on the external with senior citizen homes and drugs and discounts and passes and understanding. Understanding's a big one. Well, don't yell at Grandma, she's old. Yeah, but Grandma's still an ass. And people shouldn't be asses to each other, and I don't care how old they are. And I don't care how old they are. And you shouldn't care how old they are, and you shouldn't care how old you are. Let's take employment. You know, that's a dangerous job. Why would you want to do that? It's only dangerous for the people who have never learned to get out of their limited belief system about it being a dangerous job. I don't care what job you have that has been coined dangerous, risky, unprofessional, dicey, whatever. I guarantee you, without knowing a single thing about the job, that those labels were put upon the job by people with a limited belief system who have bought into the old school programming because so many people around them said it and so many people around them are talking about it and doing it. I give you a great example of human conformity. Is a show that I like to quote a lot. It's called Would You Fall for That? And I recently watched, and you can watch these shows on YouTube because I'm not sure if they're going to renew the season. I'm pretty sure the first season is over. But they have one, and it's great. You should watch it. It's about people going into an elevator. And they deliberately set up a mark. Now, for those of you that don't know what a mark is somebody who's targeted to play a joke on or whatever. But they get a bunch of their people that work for them, and they go into an elevator, and they face the back of the elevator. And there's only one, there's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them. And the one person, they have a camera, it's almost like candid camera, the one person that's in there that's facing the front slowly but surely faces the back of the elevator. Why? Because everyone else is. That's how we operate. People who are in charge, who know this, can manipulate situations just like this so that you're surrounded by people who are in on it and are doing something against the grain, and you do it because everyone else is doing it. How about that old saying, that your mom would always say, well, if Johnny jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Yeah, you probably would. This is part of the old school behavior. This is part of the old school programming to be just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. Okay? If you want to prove this, first go on YouTube and check it out. It's hilarious. But get a bunch of your friends and go into an elevator and see what happens. You'll all look into the back. Okay? But this is the type of stuff that happens. So I think the job is dangerous, and that's the impression I have, and that's the belief I have. And so for me, the job is going to be dangerous. These types of things are no different than the guy who smokes dope at lunch and never gets fired. Because his version of reality, he doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. So it's not going to matter. He's not putting that fear energy, that worry energy out there. So he's not going to attract those negative consequences. And as crazy as it sounds, that's the way it works. And the person that's standing there that, doesn't take a full lunch and comes in early and leaves late and never gets a raise and always gets PO'd because this guy is never yelled at, if they were to try it, then they would immediately get fired. Okay? Because in their reality, that's not what you do. That's wrong. So they put out that worry energy that if they were to do it, that they would get fired. And sure enough, the law of attraction says, yep, you're going to get fired because that's the energy you're putting out. Okay? So when you see somebody who has a dangerous job and there's nothing going on with them, and yet all around them and people are having problems, don't wonder. Don't ask yourself or ask them, why is it different for you? Understand that the reason it's different for them is a couple of reasons. Number one, they could be fully aware and creating a non-dangerous situation for themselves, which is no more difficult than creating a different situation at home, with your kids, with your family, whatever. The techniques are exactly the same. A lot of people think that, in order to do this at work or to do this at home or to do this at a relationship, you need to do different things. And so, oh my God, I don't have time for all that. Well, you had time to make sure that the refrigerator was delivered on time so that you wouldn't leave late to an appointment. You had time to do that. Guess what? You got time to do the other thing too. You can create every single day the way you want it, or you can choose to buy into the old school programming about how your day should be, and thereby create it by default. And so when you guys hear me say you've got a free will choice, you can either choose to create your day or you can live by default, that's what I mean. When you live by default, you're giving away your power that we all have, and you are saying yes to the old school ways of thinking and believing, and you are saying no to the concept that you want to control how today goes. Now, you may choose not to control today, even knowing that you can, and saying the hell with it. And that's fine. Don't make yourself wrong by doing that. But understand that then you need to be able to roll with the punches for whatever happens, because you decided to take a break in running your own life. Don't blame anybody else. Don't whine to anybody about anything negative. Don't do any of that because you decided not to drive You're just a passenger today. So the car goes off the road. Don't yell at anybody because you decided you weren't going to drive. Okay? Well, let's take a look at some of the other old sayings. You know how women are when they're on the road. Now, that may be offensive to some women that are listening to this, but I'm sorry, those are some of the sayings. And it's not true. It's not true. But it will be if you're having your period and you believe those sayings and you believe all that other stuff. Well, let's say, for instance, your mom believed it and she was unreasonable during that time of the month. Well, then if you believe that that's how it's supposed to be, guess what? That's what's going to happen. Here's one for the men. Men always forget holidays and birthdays, and sometimes anniversaries. No, they don't. Only the ones that believe that that's the way men are supposed to act. And as funny as some of the shows are on TV, they depict men being dolts and non-caring and idiots. But where does that come from? We're not born like that. There's no tag on us that says, oops, here comes an idiot. Or, hey, surprise, here comes a sweet little girl. No, there's no tag on us. So where does that come from? It comes from the conditional programming. Oh, you men. That's part of the conditional programming. All men want is sex, sex, sex. That's part of the conditional programming. These types of sayings, you may just brush them aside during the day. But unless you deal with them and understand the importance of dealing with them, they can have a negative effect on your life. There's no reason why any class of people, any race of people, anybody should have a label on them that puts them in a group as far as behavior and attitude. Absolutely none. There's no job that should be classified as a behavior or attitude, a blanket across the board, because it's not true. It only becomes true when the people involved start to believe somebody else's version of what their reality is about to become. That's the only time it matters. And it's the only time that it actually is the way they said it's going to be. Let me go backwards for a minute here. For instance, I know a police officer who I'm working with to help him create a non-violent situation in his job and yet be just as effective. So one of the things that we're working on is he's already a law of attraction advocate, and he does vision boards and the like. So one of the things we're working on is when he first started, he was involved in an officer shooting. And his car was shot at, and it freaked him out. Now, he had watched cop shows his entire life on TV, and what do those things look like? You know, Elliot Ness and the Untouchables, and, you know, Highway Patrol, and all that other stuff. And it's all good guys, bad guys. I'll get you, copper. Come on out, Johnny, or we're coming in to get you. And bang, bang, the big shootout every time. So after enough of those, from an impressionable age on, the impression is that if you are a cop, you are eventually going to be involved in a shooting. Not you may or may not. No, you eventually will be involved in a shooting unless you have a desk job, and nobody wants one of those. So the whole concept there is old school programming. So now what we're working on is having him advance through the ranks and have a wonderful time being a police officer, because it's a noble profession, and not have to deal with the violence because he doesn't want to deal with the violence. It doesn't have to exist in his reality, and he could still be an effective law officer. We talk about how to get along with people that you stop and give tickets to. And I explained to him, you don't have to get along with anybody as long as you're not living by default. If you live by default, then you're spinning the wheel on the person's attitude when you stop them. Okay? When you're controlling the situation and controlling your environment and controlling how your days go, you're not going to have to deal with idiots or people with bad attitudes, because they just won't be in your existence because of the techniques that I show you and the stuff that you can do to make sure that your day goes smoothly every single day. I'm telling you, folks, you don't have to have a bad day doing anything. But I hear a lot of people, they'll sit there and they'll listen to me and then they'll go, yeah, but there's always this and you can't avoid that. No, you see, those people aren't really listening. There is nothing you can't avoid unless you decide for you it's unavoidable. There is no blanket cause and effect that you have to put up with unless you succumb to the old school programming. You don't have to have this happen to you just because it happened to every other person that ever did that. That is the biggest falsehood that's ruining people's lives and holding people back from success and wealth. Just because somebody else did it and failed means you're going to fail. No. Just because somebody else did it and had an undesirable response means you're going to. No. I don't care if 4 million people have done it and it didn't turn out right. It doesn't have to be the result for you. Plain and simple. But we're so wrapped up with, everyone's tried it, everyone's done it. If that's going to be the way it is, I'm not even going to attempt it. Well, guess what? You've already manifested it to be a horrible experience in your reality. So unless you can get out of that and go back in and change the manifestation, absolutely you shouldn't even start it. Because you've already set yourself up for disaster. Okay? Muhammad Ali used to say, I don't win in the ring. I win in the gym. I dance in the ring. How many times did he win? But he won before he even got in the ring. Because he knew he was going to win. He did the right things. He believed in himself. He understood and he visualized. And he won. He didn't do it on the job training. He did it beforehand and he won. You have to understand there is nothing you can't do. Nothing. I don't care what you're trying to do. If you do the proper techniques ahead of time and you keep yourself focused with the intention and you keep your feelings focused with the intention, there is nothing you can't accomplish unless A, you don't believe you can, and B, by that you buy into the old school programming that everyone else failed, you should too. There's nothing you can't do. There's no reason for failure unless you just give up and say, I don't care. And you know what? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right? There's nothing wrong with that. You want to give up? You want to not take control? Fine. That's your reality. But be prepared for the consequences and don't complain about it afterwards. But don't make yourself wrong for just not handling the day. I mean, you can, just like any other day. Well, how'd your day go? Well, it was kind of shitty, but, I decided not to do anything today, so I'm not too surprised. Oh, okay, what are you going to do tomorrow? Well, I'm definitely not going to do that. Okay, that's fine. But don't go, oh, man, my day. Oh, God, the job I have. Oh. No, that's a load of crap. That's a load of crap. Because you can control it all. And it's really not that difficult once you start proving to yourself that you can do little things. You gain your confidence level, that boosts your happiness, that sends that energy out there, and the law of attraction brings it back to you for more. Don't get caught up in the old school ways. Don't get caught up in the old school sayings. Well, I do that because you know what they'll say about me. Who cares? Once you stop really caring like they've programmed you to, the worries will end, and there won't be any fear because that's just a result of worries. Fear is not a real thing. It's not something to face. If you end the old school programming and you don't worry anymore, there'll be nothing to fear. Okay? It's like 1 and 1 is 2. If you take one away, you no longer have 2. Fear is the same way. Old school programming and worry is 1 and 1. Fear is number 2. All right? You've got total control over this. Once you set yourself up for old school programming, and once you sit there and you say, well, this is this, and so I should do this, you instantly start to put yourself in a vibrational match with whatever it is that you're concerned about. And so the odds of that happening to you are greatly increased. In fact, if you continue on your way of planning for it or worrying about it, it'll definitely happen. There's no option there. Wherever your feelings are focused, that's what's going to manifest. Okay? So understand that for this holiday season and the coming new year, make a difference. Make a difference in your life. Commit to yourself. Everyone makes New Year's resolutions. Make one for yourself. That you're going to break out of the mold of the old school ways because you are a perfect spiritual individual and things can be different for you because you're going to decide it. And you're not going to let anyone else decide it. Now, it's not easy because you're going to be surrounded by billions of people that are into the old school programming. And I get that. Be the change. Be the example. Don't criticize them. Don't judge anybody because that's not right either. But just be the example. And when they try to hit you with all their fears and worries and concerns and problems and negativity about what you're doing, just don't even go there. Don't even go there. Just understand where they're coming from. Give them a, hey, yeah, I understand, but I'm going to do this. And then let that slide. Don't let that stay with you. Because that'll eat at you. Okay? So now, for the coming year, we're done for this year. No more workshops, no more meetups. This is our final show for the year. And starting next year, in 2014, we're going to ramp up what we're teaching. I'm going to be introducing a lot more people to my wife, Debbie, who is totally into this and has her own special set of skills. And we're going to be doing workshops together. We're going to be doing a lot more specialized things. And I think you're going to be a bit surprised at some of the stuff that happens. And as time goes by, more and more people are going to be getting involved. And it's going to be a wonderful 2014. I know it is for me because that's the way I'm going to plan it and that's the way I'm going to manifest it. The question is, what are you going to be doing in 2014? What I would really love for you to do when you're listening to this is write to me. realitychanger57@gmail.com. and let me know what your plans are for 2014. What positive steps are you going to take to redesign your life? And write to me and let me know what those steps are. And let's keep track. Let's keep in touch, and let's see if I can't help you on that path and give you little tidbits of information along the way. You know, we all need somebody to hold us accountable sometimes and somebody to bounce things off of. Write to me. realitychanger57@gmail.com. Okay? And until I talk to you guys again, or until I see you in my workshops and classes all around the South Bay, and hopefully next year we'll be going cross country, I want everybody listening to this to have an awesome life and to have a wonderful holiday season. You, your family, your friends, your pets, hey, that's right, that's part of your family. I love you, I respect you, and I encourage you to do the same for yourself. Until we meet again, this is Dave Dickey with Reality Changer Radio. Love to all of you.